Protests in major U.S. inner cities, L.A., Chicago, New York, all have fallen to what can be best described as Trumpophobia.
Racist, sexist, anti-gay, Donald Trump, go away!
But not everyone's chanting and fist-pumping. More law-abiding anti-Trumpers in New York took to plastering a subway wall with Post-it notes, giving out some positive vibes. Mainstream media, especially on the progressive and liberal side, freaked out. CNN went further.
ISIS this morning are actually celebrating Trump's victory.
Yes, the network got the world's worst terrorists' reaction. There it is. Billionaire fool will destroy America himself. And get this, comparing the worst terror attack in U.S. history to the presidential election. You heard it. 9/11 and 11/9 are equally horrifying. BuzzFeed's already counting down to the next presidential election. It's in just over 3 years and 11 months, so hang on there a bit. And if you're suffering from the PTSD, or the post-Trump stress disorder, there is a crisis helpline. Thank you, Huffington Post. Well, dear MSM, maybe you should call it, since you obviously can't cope with the fact that America elected its president.
Thank you.
That's how their democracy works and has been working perfectly fine for the past 229 years. Strong enough, apparently, to tell other countries how to do it properly, until that is someone from outside the Capitol Hill Club gets the top job.
A growing secessionist movement in the nation's biggest state got a kickstart after Tuesday's presidential election. Yes, California is pushing for California to secede and become a separate country. The group staged a day-long informational session Wednesday outside the state capitol in Sacramento. Discussion of the idea exploded Wednesday on Twitter. Tweets with the hashtag CalExit rolled in at hundreds per minute all day. Many were often paired with the hashtag #NotMyPresident in reference to Donald Trump's election. They backed the movement, but a significant proportion also adopted the hashtag to ridicule it.
We have an astonishing clip, of course, coming out of CNN from a lady. Now, she was a protester in one of these protest movements yesterday. She actually claims that Trump supporters need to die. Take a look at this.
Lily, your sign tonight says...
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. If we don't fight, who's going to fight for us? People had to die for freedom where we're at today. We can't just do rallies. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides. There will be, because people have to die to make a change in this world. But Trump, enough with your racism. Stop splitting families. Don't split my family.
And you're fearful that you're going to lose friends and relatives? And people are...
Yeah, a lot. Friends, family, even all races. Not just my Hispanic culture, but the rest of the races. Don't take away our rights. You know, impeach Donald Trump. That's what he needs to get, is impeached.
All right, Paul.
Well, as you can hear,
Paul,
Don, that's some of the sentiments here.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. No one should be advocating.
You know, I'm speechless. I think I just heard her call for people to die. This woman who is protesting so violently is calling for violence and death of fellow Americans because, quote, that's what it takes. Now, this massive anti-Donald Trump protest, it was done in California a day after the election. CNN caught this video. And of course, we hear Don Lemon say, oh, we're not advocating violence. But then they go ahead and race bait to every single day on that network. It is a different story about race baiting. And going back to Lester Holt for a moment, in this fear-mongering race report that he came up with, he cites, we've got a situation where a reporter named Ron Allen, he was in front of the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., and he goes on to say, and this is a part of this article that Steve Watson put together, it's up on our website. This is what Ron Allen, who's a reporter, had to say. He said, outside the nation's African American History Museum, there's deep worry about President-elect Donald Trump's victory and the huge turnout by rural working-class white voters. The reporter then suggests that Trump was able to capture the White House only because of these disgruntled, idiot white Americans that are inherently racist and just simply afraid of diversity. Then he goes on to say this. They see what's been called white lash, rallied by a candidate who promised to ban Muslims wall out Mexicans, and challenge the very legitimacy of the nation's first black president. This election seems more like an eviction. And he talks about how white America, the disgruntled, it plays hand in hand with what Barack Obama said about white Americans when he was campaigning. It wasn't a successful enough narrative not to, to deny him the presidency. But he said, those ignorant Americans clinging to their guns and religion. Well, if my memory serves me correctly, the only people that we've seen clinging to guns and religion or swords and religion are radical Muslims in this day and age. So this Ron Allen, the fear-mongering race report continues, and it's largely responsible for fueling the flames in this country where we're seeing these incredible acts of violence and protests. We've covered the ones in Portland, Oregon, where we saw a mob of 100 cross a highway. One man was actually hit in that protest. Coming out of Oakland, we saw rioting. We saw an American flag burn in the Portland incident. One Trump's supporting party was underway in San Francisco, and we saw violent acts there. And Paul Joseph Watson, the brother of Steve, he's coined a sister article, if you will, that talks about the violence that's continuing in America. And he actually put a video up, and this black mob is seen viciously beating a white Trump voter. And you can hear one of them say, "You voted for Trump, you're going to pay for that SHIT." Now, Paul points out in this video clip, and it's really violent. It's very shocking. This is coming outside of Chicago. It's a mob of black young men viciously beating an older white man because he voted for Donald Trump. They are dragging him through the streets as he hangs out of the back of the car. The clip, now there are two separate clips of this. It shows them repeatedly screaming, "You voted for Donald Trump," as they assault him from every single angle. They steal his belongings. They take his car. Another woman who is onlooking, she's shouting, "Beat his ASS." And then another man is heard laughing on this tape, "Don't vote for Trump." We have two videos of this incident. One is being called, it was dubbed and put up to the F Donald Trump song. It's a phrase now that's being chanted in these protests across the country. And this poor man, you can actually see him. His hand is stuck in the window. They actually drive off with his car, if you can believe that. And the scene is absolutely insane. They're, of course, accusing him of being linked to the, quote, racist candidate, when overwhelming, the American population they spoke, we don't even actually believe the real number that was reported. We think that it was greater for Donald Trump, just from our experience of being on the ground covering Trump rallies and Trump movements. And we know that he had massive turnout. Owen and I were on the desk in real time watching the election unfold. And I have to tell you, the map was so overwhelmingly red everywhere. It was unbelievable. And this crazy narrative that the mainstream media is putting out there for very susceptible minds is that Donald Trump is a racist. And I'm here to tell you, we've done the research. We've been on the ground. I know that this man has a heart for America and for the American people, all American people of every race, color, and creed. And that is very, very noticeable every time he speaks. And these crazy mainstream media hacks, they have done a bang-up job, let me tell you, of inciting violence.
What's been a night of unrest as anti-Donald Trump protests erupt in about 20 cities across the country.
And growing in downtown Los Angeles, we've been keeping an eye on this demonstration. Thousands of people pouring onto the 101 freeway overnight, blocking traffic in both directions for several hours. Police arrested more than a dozen demonstrators there.
Large crowds also rally against Trump's election in New York, Chicago, Dallas, and Seattle, with police making arrests in nearly every city. We went to one of those protests here in Manhattan.
Overnight protesters hit the streets from coast to coast. Seattle, Chicago, New York. Thousands of people marched in at least 10 cities, speaking out against President-elect Donald Trump.
I'm here to show solidarity with people who've been affected by the hatred that Donald Trump's rhetoric has invigorated in this country.
Here in Manhattan, crowds chanted things like "Dump Trump" and "New York hates Trump" as they blocked the entrance of Trump Tower, where the president-elect was set to be home at the time.
I'm a Republican, I'm a woman. I have never come out to a protest, and I've never felt so passionately about anything being wrong in my life. As a Hispanic woman, I don't feel safe in this country anymore.
In California, demonstrators gathered on the 101 in Los Angeles, shutting down the freeway. And in Oakland, people set multiple fires on city streets, forcing police in riot gear to move in and use tear gas.
I don't want a president that represents everything that is negative about this world. I would rather have a president that's positive and peaceful.
And in the nation's capital,
No Trump, no KKK, no racist USA.
people gathered outside the White House before marching to the newly opened Trump International Hotel.
I am terrified. I come from a family of political refugees from Cuba, and I'm very grateful to this country for having accepted us. And I'm terrified.
Donald Trump doesn't represent me or my community. I have 2 daughters. It's really important that I set an example, that I don't abide by misogyny or bigotry.
This president-elect represents hate, does not represent American values.
My greatest fear is that I feel like people are afraid, and I work in public schools, and I see students of colors, I see students from immigrant families who are afraid of how they're going to be treated. And it scares me, and I want to fight for them because they are Americans, they deserve to be here, they deserve to be treated equally, and they deserve a promising future.
We begin this evening with breaking news. Anti-Trump protesters shut down Lakeshore Drive. Thousands spill onto the drive carrying protest signs, marching along stalled vehicles. Chopper 2 over the scene as traffic was closed in both directions. And earlier, some tense moments near Trump Tower as dozens of protesters jump on a CTA bus. Now a live look from Chopper 2 over Wabash and Wacker. You can see a large group, though not as large as earlier, still gathered there. Good evening. I'm Rob Johnson.
And I'm Erica Sargent. Chicago among several U.S. cities marching tonight coast to coast in protest. In New York City, a sea of people gathered outside Trump Tower. Thousands also took to the streets in Oakland, California, expressing disapproval for President-elect Donald Trump. And the same drama unfolding in Philadelphia, where demonstrators shouted anti-Trump slogans.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK. USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.